A Tesla Model Y owner just test drove for a week a Hyundai Ioniq 5, and he claimed that there's some interesting things it actually does better than the Tesla Model Y. So which one is actually the better car to buy? The Ioniq 5 or the Tesla Model Y? Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to have you here. Welcome to the new subscribers. Welcome back everyone else. Make sure you check out the 1,000 plus videos we've made over the last 6 or 7 months, and make sure you ring that little bell icon so that you get notifications in your feed and you can see all the news, all the EV news every day. Now, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is actually, well, one big benefit to it is it's cheaper than the Tesla Model Y. One reason it's cheaper is because it still qualifies Hyundai, even though they are not in any way an American car company. In fact, the US government is obviously propping up South Korean auto right now. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. By giving Hyundai the US tax credit for $7,000 US. Now, for whatever reason, I don't really care what the reasons are. I find this kind of ludicrous. That imagine if Korea was paying customers in Korea to buy Teslas, but not paying them to buy Hyundais. That's what's happening in the US. The inverse to that. Crazy. But anyway, the facts remain. You can get the $7,000 US tax credit for a Hyundai EV. In the US, you can't get it for a Tesla. So that makes the Hyundai cheaper. Plus the retail price for Hyundai's different variants, they're all mostly cheaper, like for like, compared to Tesla. However, there's one big thing people are missing when it comes to price, and I haven't seen this mentioned anywhere on forums. Very frequently on websites like Inside EVs and whatever, they will talk about why the Hyundai Ioniq is cheaper. That's very true. But they won't point out the fact that Tesla doesn't really have any options. You just get what you get. And in general, the specification levels are very high. However, Hyundai is just like the rest of legacy auto. And yes, the specifications that most vehicles come with, fairly, no, I wouldn't say low, but they're certainly not as high as the Tesla Model Y is in its standard form. There's no doubt about that. That is a fact. So yes, to get like-for-like specifications on your Hyundai Ioniq 5, you will have to tick some options boxes in order to bring the specification up to the Tesla Model Y. Now, of course, this is a generalization. In terms of generalizations, is generally true. Now, I think it's fair to say the Model Y and the Ioniq 5 are two of the best EVs that money can buy. They're both practical. The size and shape of the bodies is practical. They've both got a lot of tech. They've got a lot of pretty decent range. And of course, they've got some really good fast charging. Is one of them better than the other though? Well, in a recent video on his YouTube channel, Tesla Model Y owner G. Jeebs spoke about his experience with the Ioniq 5, and I'll put a link in the description below to his video, by the way, after he was loaned it for 1 week. He was very impressed with the car. However, he did decide he prefers his Tesla Model Y at the end of the story. But that said, here are some of the things he thought were better in the Ioniq 5 versus the Tesla Model Y. One of them was a magnetic dash to hold your phone. It doesn't seem like a big difference to me, but anyway, he pointed that out. Another one was he said the climate control works better in the Ioniq 5 versus his Tesla Model Y in terms of the intensity. Another one was that the regenerative braking is adjustable in the Ioniq 5, but it's not adjustable in the Tesla Model Y. You get ventilated seats in the Ioniq 5. Personally, I don't see that as meaning anything, but I mean, if you like those, then that's cool. And obviously the Model Y doesn't have that feature. Now, he also said that the seats in the Ioniq 5 were more comfortable and less firm. Obviously, that's going to be a personal preference and depend on your body shape. And he also said that the interior plastics were maybe a bit better on the Ioniq 5. In addition, you get rear reclining seats. That's a feature that's usually only found in luxury cars. So that's pretty cool. And he also really liked the look of the Ioniq 5. And I've got to say, I love the look of the Ioniq 5 as well. I personally do think it looks better than the Tesla Model Y. But is that a reason for buying it? Well, what else is better in the Ioniq 5? First of all, he thinks the seat adjustment in general is better in the Ioniq 5, and the almost fully folding rear seats will fold down a bit further than those in the Model Y. Now, technically, the Ioniq 5 will charge faster. It'll do 350 kilowatt charging versus the Model Y's charging of 250 kilowatt. But let's get to some of the reasons why the Tesla is better. Well, it doesn't matter if your vehicle has the best charging in the world. If there's not many chargers that can do that charging, then it's sort of a moot point, isn't it? Obviously, Tesla's supercharging network is far superior to the kind of charging you're going to be able to get in most places 95% of locations for a Hyundai Ioniq 5, and that'll stay the same for at least a couple of years. So the charging is clearly a win for the Tesla because simply availability of chargers, the supercharger network. Even though I agree that it's a cool party trick and it's really cool that the Hyundai has that fast charging speed of 350 kilowatt, if you can't use it in all that many places, then it's not that great. So clearly the Tesla wins that one. Now, one other small, maybe just a slight win to the Tesla Model Y is range. The most expensive Ioniq 5 has 303 miles of range. Tesla's most expensive, or Tesla's longest range Model Y, which isn't the most expensive version, has 330 miles of range. So it's just a slight 10% advantage there to the Tesla Model Y long range. That said though, the long range Hyundai Ioniq 5 is still quite a bit cheaper than the long range Tesla Model Y. But that said, the performance of the Model Y is quite a bit better across the board. The Model Y long range version has a 4.8 second 0-60 mile per hour time, unless you choose the performance version, which will do it in 3.5 seconds. But it basically puts it in the range of like an AMG or an X5M. It's insanely fast. And at the moment, there is no competitor for the Tesla Model Y performance version. If you want a performance version, I mean, obviously a lot of you are not going to be interested in that, but if you want a performance version, then clearly the Model Y is your only option right now. That said, Hyundai are planning on bringing out an N version of the Ioniq 5, which should have probably similar performance to the Tesla Model Y performance version as well, because it will have the Kia EV6 dual motor powertrain, which has more than 400 kilowatt and should do 0-60 miles per hour in a pretty similar time, probably about 3.5 seconds, same like the performance Model Y. Now, the standard range Ioniq 5 will do 0-60 in 7.4 seconds, so it's about a second slower than the standard range Tesla Model Y, and then the performance version does it in 5.2. So obviously that's a bit slower than the long range and quite a lot slower than the performance Model Y right now. So we've got to compare apples with apples here. Clearly, if you want a performance SUV, electric SUV, then the Ioniq 5 is pretty slow in comparison to the Tesla Model Y performance. Now, cargo space is pretty similar. The Tesla Model Y is slightly bigger, a little bit longer, a little bit taller, but generally I think the interior space is pretty similar in terms of both cars. But there's one thing I think that Tesla needs that Hyundai has, which is a heads-up display. In my view, that's a big omission in the Tesla. I think it should have a heads-up display. Having a front digital screen to look at right in front of the driver would be nice in the Tesla, but not really necessary. But I think having that heads-up display is something that Tesla vehicles should have, and I've said this for a while now. That, in my view, is a big omission. Now, there's one big thing the Tesla Model Y has going for it that the Hyundai Ioniq 5 does not have going for it. You don't have to haggle. So it's reported from numerous different sources that Hyundai dealers are not selling these cars, or some of them, apparently most of them are not selling these cars at MSRP. Sure, you might have had an isolated experience where you got lucky and got one for MSRP, but most people are not able to do that. Most of the time they're adding $7,500 and up to $10,000 to the price. Now, this makes it no cheaper than Tesla Model Y. In fact, it makes it more expensive because, like I said, you need to have options packs in order to have that similar specification to the Tesla Model Y. So if that's the situation with you, your dealership won't sell you for MSRP, that removes the kind of affordability equation for the Ioniq 5, aside from the fact that you might be able to get the $7,000 tax credit, which would be good. Now, there's another big issue, unfortunately, with the Ioniq 5. That is the number of vehicles they're making. They actually don't sell them in most states in America don't sell them right now. And the reality is, if you want one, well, you've got to be lucky. Most Americans can't buy one. And most people in Australia can't buy one because they're sold out for years. Most countries, they're sold out. That's the reality right now. Same thing is for Tesla, but the reality is Tesla obviously is making about 30 times more Model Ys than Hyundai are making Ioniq 5s. So based on that fact, if production is 30 times greater and possibly even 60 times greater by the end of this year, then the reality is most people just won't be able to buy Ioniq 5, but quite a lot more people will have access, approximately 30 times more people will have access to buying a Tesla Model Y. So really when it comes down to it, even if you think one is better than the other, clearly availability is the key. Now personally, I actually like the Ioniq 5 more. I've said that on this channel a couple of times. I like the style more. In general, I think it's cool. But to be honest, I won't be buying one because here in Australia, they're not available for at least a couple of years. Whereas I think it's a good chance that the Tesla Model Y will be available en masse towards the fourth quarter of this year in Australia. Now, wherever you are, good chance that you don't have the Tesla Model Y either, or the waiting list is long. However, obviously Tesla are massively ramping up production at their factory in China of that vehicle. They're ramping up production in Germany of that vehicle, in Texas of that vehicle as well. So, I mean, realistically, we know Hyundai's plans. They're not making a lot, and they're not planning on making a lot. Sure, they might ramp up production a little bit. It's not really going to make a big difference. So here, clearly, in my view, the Tesla Model Y wins this simply on availability. If you're looking at spec for spec, yeah, I personally like the Ioniq 5. But if I can't buy one, and most people globally can't buy one, then sorry, that's a big fail. And the win has to go to the Tesla Model Y. Now, let me know in the comment section below what you think. Who do you think is the winner? Let me know why you think they're the winner. And let's just say, okay, both cars are available where you are. Let's say the price is, maybe 10% better for the Ioniq 5 where you are. Which one would you buy then? Let me know what you think. And let me know which one is your favorite. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the next video. Bye-bye.